Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tearing It Up. I'm really stoked for this because I'm talking to the guest we have today just in our intro call. She's full of energy, and I'm excited to just shoot the shit, learn more about what she's doing, and just have a conversation that I know will be full of energy. Also, what is very interesting to me about this conversation is kind of where it all stemmed, which for me was a place that that frustrates me more than anything, and I don't have that much luck on, but it was TikTok is how I met Lisa, commenting on a post or something there, and I was like, oh, finally, this platform's working for something, because I'm on there, and sometimes I post the same things I post on Instagram, and actually some things I'll post there first. It's so interesting to see how different the platforms are and what works over here better, over there better, and it's a wild journey. But yeah, sometimes I just throw random shit up there and it sticks and lands better, and maybe I don't even post it to Instagram. But it was cool to actually meet somebody on there through that, and again, just like, okay, that's why these platforms exist, that's why I'm on these, is to find new people. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad you reached out. So I have Lisa of Hummingbird Fuels. If you guys have been listening a while, we've had a couple folks on with different nutrition brands, and just being in the health and wellness space for a lot of my life, it is in working out and all that. I do love talking about nutrition and getting a little nerdy, because it is also the thing that's the biggest struggle for me. So I'm really stoked to dive in more. But Lisa, as we record today, where are you physically in the world?
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me on the pod. I'm up here in San Francisco.
I love that. Basically neighbors, like I said, in the
Yes.
grand scheme of the world and people I've had on, San Francisco is my neighbor, just 3 hours, 3.5, 4, whatever, depending on traffic and how you drive. About that, west. So
Nice.
love it. And tell us a little bit about Hummingbird. Well, what your title, I guess, is of Hummingbird Fuels.
Yeah, nothing like being the CEO of a company that's just you and your husband. I know, I'm a big deal, guys. Huge flex. But yeah, no, we started the company about actually 11 months ago, so we're still freshy, very new. And I've never owned a company before, so that's also very new. So my marketing strategy, it's funny because I saw your TikTok. I literally spend hours just talking to people on social media. That's pretty much like, I have no budget for advertising. So it's just me talking nonstop, being like, hey, what's up? What you doing? How's it going?
I love it. And it's so crazy because, it inspires and motivates me to continue on some of these platforms, to know that it can work, right? But you do have to put so much time and effort into it. Like, you have to be there. And that is one thing with all of the social platforms that I'm not the best at, is being consistent, or the engagement on others, the people I follow are one thing, and liking this or commenting that, but really spending time like on the search pages or whatnot, and scrolling through and trying to find new people and interact with them. It's so hard for me to do consistently or for very long, but hats off to you for doing that and just being like the marketing, organic growth marketing all-star.
Hey, you too can spend 15 hours a day on your phone. I can teach you.
Yes, yeah. I've been trying real hard to retrain my algorithms too, especially on TikTok, because I don't spend a lot of time on there. And then so when I am on there, I get so annoyed because I'm like, this is not what I want to see. How do I find the things I want to see? And I'll try to search them, literally use it as a Google search, type in okay, women over 35 working out or something, but it's still, I'm like, wait, no, that's not what I wanted. I didn't need this workout for moms or whatever. No shame to you all out there, but I'm like, I just want to see just different things, and I'm like, I can't find them, or you like one thing and then all of a sudden it's full of that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
gosh, dang it. I like a lot of wrestling content, but
Mhm.
now all I see is way too much high school wrestling
Oh,
things. And I'm
wow.
like, okay, please don't show me all of this. I don't, I just like, oh, it's so crazy how it all works. So again, I
Mhm.
lose my attention span for anything, and hats off to you for spending the time
Oh,
to do
thanks.
it. But 11 months, that's
Mhm.
wild. I don't recall, I'm sure you probably told me that in our intro call, but
Mhm.
that's so fresh. But looking at everything you have and what you're doing, I don't get that vibe at all. I'm like, dang, you seem so dialed
Oh
in,
my god.
and I love it. And first of all,
Dude.
too, being on your website and your hat.
Oh, thank
Obviously the
you.
colors, love the
Yeah.
colors. All right. I'm a bright gal. I don't wear a lot of bright colors anymore. I,
Mhm.
I used to, like in high school, I was like always in crazy bright neon things.
Mhm.
Um, but they still call to me. I just am loving this gradient rainbow and
A
the
lot of
bright
color.
colors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we go off on the color. So, yeah, so Hummingbird Fuels is a high carb drink mix. So, if you're an athlete that does things, I'd say over an hour, right? That's when the glycogen, like this essentially energy stores in your body, start to get a little thin. So, if you've ever had that feeling where you're like, oh, I'm just going to go for like a 2 hour ride, and then the last like 30 minutes, you're starting to fall apart. Well, that's because you kind of ran out of gas. So, that's why we made this product. It's a sugar-based carb mix. So it's 5 ingredients. It's super simple. It's pretty clean, and it mixes right away. So essentially, just it's a way to eat and drink while you're doing your activity.
I love it. And a lot of the stories we've heard from the smaller nutrition brands started at the heart of the person behind it needing
Mhm.
it themselves.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about I see it behind you are a couple of bikes.
There's a lot of bikes.
You used riding in your example there. So I bet if anyone, I don't know if this will be video or not, but if you see it or heard that, like, we can take a educated guess here that you are a cyclist. And is that where the root of all this began?
For sure, yes. Yeah, if there is no video, you're looking at a randonneur bike, so it's a steel Mariposa. This is a titanium bike. There's many other bikes back there. And yeah, we started this ultra distance cycling. So some folks call it randonneuring, some ultra cycling, but essentially we were doing a 750-mile ride in France. And so it's called Paris-Brest Paris. It's like the oldest cycling event in the world. It started in 1891, and it happens every 4 years, and you have to qualify and all this sort of stuff. And we were really keen to do it, but the nutrition part is where things got a little sketch. Like, how do you physically eat enough so that you can maintain your energy stores? And my husband's a food scientist, so he's like, I got this. And so he kind of got in the kitchen and essentially made hummingbird fuel. And it's very simple. It's sugar, citric acid, sodium citrate, um uh what am I missing? Sea salt and natural flavor. That's it. That's all
Wow.
that's in it. And it's great. It gives you 60 grams of carbs per hour. So we have it where it's like 60 grams every 60 minutes. So if you think about like a bottle an hour, it just turns into a super, super simple fueling system. Because I think a lot of times, like, you'll get a gel or a bar or whatever, and it's like 37 grams. Like, bro, I can't do that math even when I'm not riding. Like, it's not available to me. So I need like simple numbers, one
Yeah.
bottle an hour. Okay, I can do that. And yeah, so that's how Hummingbird Fuels started. And then to be honest with you, I have an Instagram, hustle and a half, if you want to talk about bikes. And
Yes.
I posted the recipe on my Instagram. I was like, hey, we made this fuel. Like, if you want it, just go make it. And then people were like, actually, can you just make it for me? Like, I don't want to even, like, I don't know what citric acid is. Like, I'm not getting into the kitchen. And so then we just started making it in our kitchen in like Ziploc baggies and giving it to friends. And then it was like, oh, maybe we should be a real company. And then we got a commercial kitchen. And so that's kind of how it started. 11 months ago.
Wow, that's awesome. With your husband being a food scientist and you being a cyclist, well, I'm assuming he's a cyclist as well.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so before coming up with Hummingbird Fuels in this race, were
Mhm.
you doing long distances before and like was fueling properly? Had it been a issue for a long time
Mhm.
before you or for you?
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah. I mean, the I've always done like so I've been riding since I was in my 20s. Like it's definitely been a big part of my life. Um the challenge was like I'd probably do like a century a year, like that was like a big event that we'd work up to. And when we were looking at the Paris-Brest Paris thing, that's when it all changed. Like, that's when you're
Mhm.
like, oh, I have to do a 600-kilometer ride. Like, holy cow, how do you even do that? That's bananas. And that's when the nutrition thing really took a hold. Because for sure, like, I've bonked, I don't know how many times in my life. I mean, like, show me, someone who's never bonked before, call me, because I don't know what that would even, like, everyone's done it, right?
Yes,
And
I think a lot of people maybe though don't realize
no,
that's
yeah,
what's happening. I think
yeah,
that was me for sure. I think I was in denial of a
yeah,
real for a really long time about that being what's happening. But we'll
totally.
get
And
into that.
for sure, I mean, but it's a great point because you're like, well, I'm supposed to feel like ass when I'm done a ride. You know what I mean? I'm supposed to feel like
Mhm.
I'm completely destroyed and I get home and I eat absolutely everything in front of me. Like, you actually don't have to do that. Like, that's
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
the way. If you fuel your ride, like, that's why we just lean into this idea of 60 grams of carbs. And if folks are really sort of keen on bike racing, they might have heard pros going up to like 100 grams of carbs an hour. Sure,
Wow.
you could do that. I can't do that like today. I'd have to
Mhm.
train up to that. Even to be honest, 100 grams is a lot. Like, I don't know if I could ever do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
But
that's
like,
a lot.
it's significant. But like when you fuel your efforts, you feel so much better. One, you can perform better, but
Mhm.
two, you don't get home and eat like an asshole. Like you
Yeah.
just are a normal person. Like you can have a normal meal instead of feel like you have to overeat sometimes.
I think for a lot of us too, especially recreationally
Yeah.
out there, you're thinking about that's kind of the narrative, I guess, that you were told
Mhm.
or just experienced, especially for something that's maybe not super long and high
Yeah.
endurance, that, you don't eat before you work out because you don't want to get a stomach ache. And
Mm.
then, but you get home and you're so hungry because you just like used all this energy and like you kind of binge on it. And then you're also thinking about like, oh, I have to eat as soon as I get home for
Yeah.
recovery, and I'm gonna eat this much and that much, and blah blah blah. But like you don't have to. I think even if you are fueling properly on a longer or during a longer activity, you're you don't need that like binge of recovery as much either. Like, of course, you still
Yeah.
get something back in your system because you were
Yeah.
using it, but it's not the same as like, oh, now I can go eat that huge hamburger or this or that or
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And I think that's just how we were used to fueling is okay. You don't eat during this,
Mhm.
during that, and then it all like goes back into the system
Yeah.
because you expended it and you're not doing it during. Because for
Mhm.
me, the hardest thing is I think that I don't. I don't feel like I do a lot of long,
Mhm.
term activities. So I'm like, I don't need, snacks along the way or something
Yeah.
because I'm doing a quick ride or whatnot. But
Mhm.
now that I've gotten into, well, I mean, even with mountain biking,
Mhm.
you're out there, you can be out there a couple hours and it's like
Yeah.
anything over an hour
Mhm.
you can fuel during. I mean, even for some,
Yeah.
it could be within the hour. It depends on how much energy you're exerting too, right? So
Oh,
I think for me, my
1000%.
belief was like, okay, this is only a 45-minute
Yeah.
climb. I don't need a treat.
Mhm.
But I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, but like climbs kill me. And if I'm not
Mhm.
eating enough before, it's certainly okay to
Yeah.
have some snacks. But then also I think about timing and I want to like get in and
Mm.
out, so having a bar or even gummies isn't always the easiest thing, and
Mhm.
for some reason I still haven't made the connection with the carb drinks because I feel like
Yeah.
they're not quote unquote for me.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's such a smart point because, like, there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack, especially in cycling, but in athletics in general. I feel like a lot of brands, it feels either like you have to be going on this epic journey in order to sort of justify the $5 gel you just bought, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, oh my God, like I'm that one gel you've had in your pocket for like 6 months because you're like, well, is it gel worthy? Like, is this ride gel worthy?
Yes,
I don't know.
exactly.
You know, so that speaks to the cost of some of these things. The next part is just, you're right. Well, it's only a 90-minute ride, or it's only a 40-minute ride, or whatever. So I don't need it. Like, sure, maybe, but also that's because you're afraid, because you're like, I spent $5 on this. I'm not burning this on a 90-minute ride. That's crazy. And so that's why we made our product super affordable. Like, it's $22.50 for a bag of 12 servings of 60 grams of carb. Like, that is pretty good value. But at the same time, that's because it only works if you use it. Like, I mean, if you're always putting it off into some, like, well, I only do a century a year, so I'll only use a carb mix then. Like, I think carb mix gets this sort of, like, I don't know, patina of, like, it has to be, I'm going to Leadville, I'm doing some crazy epic thing. Essentially, a carb mix is just an easier way to get nutrition and hydration all in one. And so if you take away all the bullshit around it, it's literally just a better way of fueling. That's it. And it doesn't mean you can't eat on top of it. I mean, a lot of times I'll do that where, depending on the length and, to your point, the intensity. Like, I mean, if some dude is going on a 60-minute absolute ripper, like, you definitely want to make sure you're getting your calories in, or else you're going to fall apart in like 20 minutes. Like, it's not going to feel good at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really was, that was a paramount part of us building this brand, is making sure it felt like it was accessible and actually for everybody. Like, it's not about, you know, wearing your tan colored fancy $2,000 kit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, God, biking's fun, or activities in general are supposed to be fun and inclusive. That's why you do them, you know, not anyway.
Well, and what I do more mountain biking, I'm getting more into gravel biking now that I have one. And even you don't have to have one, but like just the style and like what I'm doing has been longer gravel road rides and not mountain biking, because I've just been doing it a lot more like by myself. And I have more fun mountain biking with others than by myself, but I can go on a long ride and take the back roads. Like, I enjoy doing that by myself. So I've just kind of entered into this phase where I've been doing more of those rides by myself and whatnot. And however, like, back to the like intensity, can on a mountain bike ride around here in Tahoe, I mean, you can go just straight up. And it can be a 30-minute climb even, but it's still quite the it can be quite the elevation. And again, that can be anywhere you are. You're just going straight up. And what happens for me on those rides is I lose energy for the down. And this is also true for ski touring, where I'm like climbing up, we're skinning up, and then by the time I get to the top, I'm so exhausted that the down is so not fun. And we do the up. I do the up for the down. I am not the person who loves the up and loves the climb. I fucking hate it. However, like, I do also love being outside, you know, and whatever the work and effort. And I will choose to do the hard thing in the climb over a lift if the option is there sometimes. But, you know, I'll choose both. But point being is that that's where I think I was so in denial about like bonking, because the up isn't that long. So I'm like, I don't need nutrition on the up, but then it's like I'm not enjoying my down. So then I'm like, oh wait, so maybe I do really need to focus kind of on that fueling whilst on the up. And to your point, where drink mixes are just easier. You're
Yeah.
hydrating, and like I'm gonna be drinking water anyway, so why
Yep.
don't I actually put a little something in
Yeah.
it? And I'm obsessed with like electrolytes, and I
Mhm.
usually have those in my water all the time. So it's like, wait, I can actually get a little more nutrients too.
Yeah.
Um, so I do love that idea because I just haven't fully converted yet, and probably to also one of your other points where it's like, well, I have it, but like, do I really need it
Yeah.
today? Like, do I
Yeah.
really need to use it on this ride? Like, or this activity? Because maybe I have a longer one planned
Mhm. Yeah.
down the road or something. And it's like, no, I just need to
Yeah.
try it and see what works for you. Because a lot of nutrition, especially for activity, fueling for activity, is trial and error. And that can
Mhm.
be scary too on
Yeah.
like how it settles with your gut.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's why we definitely didn't use any maltodextrin. Like I can't with that. And to your point about the down, I don't know if you saw that movie The Fall Guy, but there's this scene where Ryan Gosling, there's another character and he's like doesn't eat any carbs and Ryan Gosling's like, "You need carbs. Your brain runs on glucose." Like it's 1,000% right. Like the cognitive load that's happening in those instances when things get really technical, right? Or if you're at the end of a ride and you're really cranky, like
Mm-hmm.
your brain is just like freaking out. So I think making sure that you can stay on top of your fueling, drinking it, you're gonna drink fuel, like you're gonna drink anyways. You're always going to reach for your bottle because you're used to that.
Yeah.
You might forget to reach for your pocket though to
Mm-hmm.
get a snack. So this way it's one of those things where it's just like, well, let's double down on the thing you're already going to do. Plus, when you're taking a gel or a bar or whatever, you need to take water as well to
Yeah.
help with the absorption. So like sometimes it's really technical. Like sometimes you can't even take the bottle because
Yeah.
stuff is just so bananas. So trying to figure out a way that we can just keep people fueled. I think it's a really carb mix, even though it sounds fancy, it's actually amazing for folks that are beginners as well. Like stuff that like a novice rider, this is a really great way to stay on top of things so that you don't sort of fall apart when you're halfway through your ride because it's hard to get a pocket and open I don't know, a bar or something.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, you have to, when you're having any other snack, you usually need the water too to absorb it or wash it down, and that's what can be. Again,
Mhm.
I've heard just so many horror stories of fueling and things for those high endurance athletes running and whatever
Mhm.
having stomach issues, but a lot of the things say like, drink with X amount of water and it's like, wait, well, I have to drink the water anyway, and again, everything's going to be different for everybody, but it's like you have to do both anyway. So
Mhm.
having at least an option where you can just have one thing instead of trying to manage two things, to your point again about like beginners or the terrain may be technical, or that can be the thing that stops you from fueling because you're simply like, I don't want to have to stop and eat this, or like try to eat while riding or doing whatever activity. So that's one thing for me. I'm already such a slow climber, whether it's on the bike or ski touring again or hiking. Like, I mean, hiking you're going a little bit slow, but I do enjoy to stop for a second and eat and
Mhm.
chew and swallow instead
Yeah.
of like feeling like I have to let go,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
when there's a bunch of moving parts. Like I said, hiking is a little bit different. It's a little easier to eat a bar whilst
Yeah,
hiking, but
yeah.
when I'm like split boarding and I've got poles in my hands or this or
Mhm.
that, or you're on like terrain that's
Yeah.
slippery, or
Oh,
biking,
yeah.
you need both hands and it's kind of hard and annoying to
Mhm.
do. So I know a lot of people will have designated like bladders
Oh,
for
yeah.
or reservoirs for a drink mix, so they can put it in
Mhm.
their pack, and that's the one they use only for drink mixes or water bottles or
Mhm.
whatever, to keep that separate and still have your plain water if you want it. um but I'm also curious as far as what you personally use Hummingbird Fuels for. Like, do you because for me, what I'm really
Mhm.
interested into is fueling for simply the gym, and an
Yeah.
hour high intensity workout or a spin class even.
Yeah.
Or as we were talking before we got online with the kids that I coach for
Mhm.
wrestling, it's some of them are cutting weight, not a
Mm.
lot. There's a lot of, rules and things that have changed
Yeah,
since
yeah.
my day in wrestling, that their cutting weight is like a couple of pounds. It's
Yeah.
not much, but they get to a tournament no matter what. Most of them are making weight, and so they're conscious of what they're eating before the tournament, and then day of, as soon as weigh-ins are over at 7 a.m., they're
they're
eating, and because they need to fuel also for the day, and it's a long day. So yesterday I was just thinking, like, maybe I should introduce them to carb mixes because they don't have to be downing it like a whole bottle 1 hour before their match, but like having it to sip on at least throughout the day to continuously get these carbs into their system. So what's your everyday or, kind of look like with fueling and how you might use it in other ways?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, as far as like the 60 for 60, like I kind of use that if it's a super chill coffee ride. I mean, yeah, it's a coffee ride. We're going like 0 watts per hour. So it's pretty mellow.
Leisure,
but yeah, no, I stick to about 60 grams per hour, give or take. Now, it changes when we go longer. So some of these rides we do, like, it'll be a 10-hour day on the bike. And so that's where I'll still have 60 grams in the bottle, but then I'll eat a cookie or some candy or whatever, and I'll have that over the hour. So that's nice. So then a cookie, you're not trying to like cram it in 5 times, like 5 cookies in the hour. That can be kind of hard too. So this way it's just like you eat one item, but across an hour, 20 grams plus the 60, now I'm up to 80. And that's a very sustainable way of staying on top of your fueling.
I love that. The supplemental, right? Thinking about it in that way that it doesn't, again, have to be super intense. And there's so many ways to mix things in to stay fueled. Like, it's so important. And like you also had said something about carbs, and kind of being scary, right? We were such a majority of our listeners in the generation where carbs were the devil, right? No, we don't need carbs. We don't need carbs. And I do like to think for a lot of listeners out there who are active that narrative has changed. We know they are not the devil or anything, but I still think some people have the idea in their head of like limiting them and being, way more conscious of how many carbs they're having versus not, there's the good carb conversation versus the bad carb conversation, which also I think really just comes to play with what you're doing. If you're in a hard, long endurance activity, I don't think there's a bad carb.
Dude, sugar is your BFF. Like, you need to embrace sugar. If you're doing any endurance activity, I would almost go so far as to say any either intensity or endurance, then having some kind of carbohydrate, like every athlete does this. Like, I would sort of challenge you to say maybe archery. Maybe they're not carb loading, right? But like, there's a reason. But there's a reason why professional athletes are taking in these. I think there was a triathlete in New Zealand that was going up to something insane, like 300 grams an hour. Like, I was just like, I don't even know physically how you could hold on to that. But I think they were trying to hit these insane numbers because, like, I know that not everyone is into cycling, but like if you look at the athletes in the Tour de France, I mean, these guys are like 120, 150 grams of carbs per hour. And that's because it works. That's because if you think of yourself as an engine, you need fuel. And that fuel goes into the engine and it executes. Like, the insulin response that you would potentially have sitting here drinking a Coke, like, obviously you're going to have some sort of insulin response, but when you're exercising, your muscles are moving and that sugar goes into your muscles. Like, it doesn't even hit the same sort of pathways that it would if you were at rest. And I think a lot of people don't understand that and don't know that. And so they get like, oh my God, I can't drink that. It's going to give me diabetes. It's like, well, no, if you're moving, it won't. You'll be fine.
Yeah. What also, I surprised we didn't hit it early on, but the name Hummingbird Fuels. I'd love to touch on like where it came from, because as you're talking about, especially, calling out the sugar and whatnot, I am just thinking in my head of literally seeing a hummingbird like
Yeah.
like drinking just sugar water, right? So
Totally. Yeah.
where did it come from?
It was pretty funny. So again, like we started making this just for ourselves in like 2023, right? In 2022, like it was very early on. And my husband had this like big plastic jug and he just wrote Hummingbird feeder on it. And that's where he would mix the like sugar and all the ingredients. And he would like, he'd like roll it down the hallway. Like that was him mixing the whole thing. And that was it. That was the name. Like, I mean, it was Hummingbird Fuel. The only reason it came with an S is because we couldn't get the URL for Hummingbird Fuel. So we're like, well, I guess it's fuels. So
Hey, I like that. It can go a few different ways, like Hummingbird, like fuels you,
yeah, there
or
you go.
just like,
Yeah.
like,
Multiple different, like, eventually I think it'd be cool if we expanded into sort of like, probably not gels because there's so many gels, but the idea of some sort of like a cookie or some other element that we introduce. Because I think the idea of keeping fueling simple, that's really our core tenet. And so the easier we can make the system, make it more modular and make it work for more people is really kind of what we want to achieve.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would totally be on the lookout for anything
Yeah.
like cookie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Also, hummingbirds are incredible athletes. Like, I
Yes.
will say, they are badasses. There's a hummingbird that migrates from Canada all the way to Mexico. Like,
Wow.
badass. So, like, if you want to identify with any animal that has resilience and, like, tenacity, it's a hummingbird. Like, 1,000%.
I absolutely think it fits so well for what you're doing and hitting like more, long-term activities and whatnot, because just think about a hummingbird in flight, right? And their wings moving like 1,000 miles a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's crazy.
No, it's great.
So I think that, even just pulling out a pack of fuel, pouring it in your bottle or whatever, it's just like, I'm identifying as a hummingbird right now, going up this mountain. I am going to pedal, 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 pedal.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Identify as the bird, fly, just fly
Yes.
fast, little bird. Well, so 11 months into full-on business, definitely in the infancy, but I'm wondering what else you guys are doing. See, on your website, you have some links to clubs and events and whatnot. So tell us where else Hummingbird Fuels is kind of showing up right now.
Yeah. So every year, I'm pretty stoked on this. I used to do this just personally, but this was our first year that we did a ride camp for everyone of like in the Hummingbird Fuels ecosystem. And so we went down to Malibu and we just rode our faces off, and it was like 3 days of riding. It was amazing. And so every year we do that. So look out for that. It's crazy fun, and you don't have to be like Tadej Pogacar to do it. Like it's like normal people. So it's cool. And then this is going to be the 5th year. So we host a ride called the Hamilton Diablo Double Shot. And it's a banger of a ride. So if you're in the Bay Area, there's some pretty significant climbs here. One is called Diablo. There's another one called Hamilton. And so as you can imagine, a single shot is you essentially climbing Diablo, and then you join us at McDonald's for lunch. We go to McDonald's. You can go wherever you want, but it's fine. And then the double shot is you keep going, and then you end up climbing the backside of Hamilton, which is an average 10%. So it's pretty spicy.
Wow.
And the full ride is 119 miles and over 11,000 feet of climbing. So it's a monster day.
Yeah.
But we have like Hummingbird Fuels at an aid station. Like we'll pump you full of fuel, but it's really fun. So like we've had over 100 riders join us. It's such a good time. So if you're looking for a challenge, that's definitely one of them. I mean, even the single shot is like 5,000 feet and 5,500 miles or 55 miles. So it's not a small day either. And then actually, breaking news on the pod.
Yes.
We're actually partnering with a company called Cycling Hero, and we're going to offer 2 rides in Italy. So
wow,
we're going international.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And so I guess we didn't touch on, well, we kind of touched on it in the beginning with like the Paris ride. For anyone at least who's maybe a little more familiar with cycling, probably could have guessed, but you guys are primarily road riding.
Primarily, yes. We do, I don't know, you can't see it there. I got a Trek checkout over there. So, we dabble in the gravel. But, yeah, no, road is kind of, I don't know. I just really like road. It's just like
Yeah.
my happy place.
Well, to each their own, and I think it really depends on where you're at and what's most accessible. Right here in Tahoe, road is not the
Yeah,
most convenient or
true.
best because the roads are small. There's not a lot of bike lanes,
Yeah.
and it's a little bit treacherous with the terrain and then just cars and traffic because again, there's not a lot of bike lane usage, and yeah, we're tucked away. Also, road conditions are,
Yeah,
can be
totally.
really tough. Every winter they might get
Yeah.
destroyed, so then you're just like bobbing and weaving over this and that. But again, just really depends where you're at, what you like. I know that for a lot of people, I feel like around here too, especially because it's not as accessible, it's like road riding is just terrifying to them because of the traffic and
Yeah.
cars. And for me, I wouldn't say it's scary for me, but being on gravel roads or mountain bike trails, it
Yeah.
definitely takes away that variable that you just like worrying about less things and people, right? It's
Yeah.
very nice to just be
Oh,
like, cool,
totally.
there's one less thing to worry about.
So long as there's still a coffee shop. Like,
Yeah.
that's all I need. Like, we can go anywhere, we could do anything, but if we're not stopping for coffee, that's absolutely off the table. Forget
Oh my
about
gosh,
it. I'm
I
out.
love it. Is that Paris ride, is that the longest ride that you've done?
So far, yes.
Okay.
So it's 1,200 kilometers, 750 miles, and about 35,000 feet of climbing altogether.
Wow.
So the first time we've done it, we finished in 78 hours and 30 minutes. However, this year we're going to do an even longer ride, which is I think 870 miles and
Wow.
so 1,400 kilometers. And that's actually the entire length of the UK. So we're going to start at the very, very bottom and go to the very, very top up in Scotland. And it's a 4.85 day time limit, which sounds
Wow.
insane, but yeah.
Okay, so this is race-esque, right? So what are you doing for, because in my mind, because I'm also in the, again, like, mountain bike, gravel, bike packing, like
Yeah.
interests where I'm like, oh, lovely, a few days,
Yeah.
you got everything packed on your bike, but like, what does this setup and sleep and all that look
Yeah.
like for you guys doing this kind of ride?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Sometimes there's like a bag drop, which is very cushy. I actually did a 1,200 kilometer ride last year through the Arctic Circle. That's actually how we got the name of Arctic Berry for one of our flavors.
Oh.
It was northern Sweden. And so we started like 6 hours north of Stockholm and went up north through the Arctic Circle into Norway and then back down. And for that particular ride, we carried everything. So we sort of had all of our clothing. We slept in hotels, so that makes things a little bit simpler. But it rained a lot, so it was a lot of rain clothes and like pants and everything. And then as far as the sleeping is concerned, so this is called randonneuring. It's like a French style of riding where it kind of means wander, right?
I was like, I hear a root of like random.
Yeah, a little bit of that too.
I'm like, oh yeah, that's where when you first mentioned it, I wanted to touch on that for sure. 'Cause I'm like, oh yeah, that does sound like a little looser, I guess, than like just a strict like.
For sure. Like some people might be into like Race Across America, like there's some like ultra distance things that are very much a race. Randonneuring is just what you're saying. It's like you go, you explore, there's a route, like you do have to follow the specific route and there's a time limit, but the time limit's just there just so you're not like on a bike packing tour. Like there's bike packing where we're like, okay, we're going to take 2 weeks and go do this thing. There's randonneuring where it's like, okay, we're going to take 4 days and do this thing. And then there's like ultra racing where we're like, we're going to take 36 hours and do this thing. So
yeah, you're going to sleep every whatever for 30 minutes. Like
exactly. Whereas for randonneuring for like a 1,200 kilometer ride with a 90-hour time limit, so essentially 4 days, you can sleep. I mean, for me, I can sleep about 5 or 6 hours a night, which I'm sure there's some parents that are listening to this that are like, oh my God, I'd kill to sleep 6 hours a night.
Yeah.
So like, it sounds crazy, but you just sort of get used to a lot of volume right? Like the days are big, like
Yeah.
400 kilometers, so 240 miles a day. Like it's not small days.
Yeah.
So that 6 hours might feel very short, but you kind of get into a mode where it's just bike life. Like
Yeah.
the only thing you do for these 4 days are eat, sleep, and bike. That's it. You don't look at your phone. You don't talk to your family. You don't text anybody. Like you just literally live in this world where you've like matrixed out of reality.
Which can be, I'm sure, kind of
Oh,
nice, especially when it's
so
something
great.
with like not pressure. You're doing it for fun. You're not
Yeah.
racing this competitively to, like sustain your livelihood. So to
No.
be able to look at it as the 4 days, like I get to do this
Yeah.
for 4 days, I'm
Oh,
sure can be pretty helpful. That
I
mindset, right?
I love it. Like it is true because sure, like there's always a dark point in a ride. There's a point where you're just like, oh man, like I'm feeling pretty low. Which by the way, that means you probably need to eat something. So just heads up. But yeah, no, 1,000%. Like it's not a race. There's no first, second, third. You just either finish in the time cut or you don't.
Yeah.
That's it. Like you get the same finisher's medal as the dude that finished it first if you're the last person. So it's kind of nice because the attitude around it is completely different. There's no competitive edge because who cares? Like we're
Yeah.
all the same. And in fact, you help each other out on the road too. Like it's very much a community mindset where you're like, yeah, man, we're all in this together. Like God, I'll have conversations when we did that Paris-Brest Paris. You meet people from all over the world. And there was this dude, I think from Romania. I was just like, hey, man, tell me about your life. And I learned how funerals are done in Romania. I learned about
Wow.
weddings in Romania. I learned like everything. Because you're like, we're riding together for the next 8 hours. Just talk. I
Yeah.
don't even care.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
pretty
so
cool.
cool. And is you and your husband doing this together? Is it just you two, or do you have some kids as well?
No kids over here. So the bikes, those are our
Yeah,
children.
yes, yeah.
So,
I've
but
got
yeah,
dog and bike
there
and
you go.
snowmobile children.
Yeah. But yeah, no, we do it together. So I think that's the other thing too, especially as women, endurance sports, you'd be surprised at how high functioning and performing women are compared to men. Like when you start to get into these longer distances, the difference is really minimal. Like it's really, sure, you might not eat as much, but you're physically smaller. So you can kind of sustain your energy. It's almost easier. Like I don't have to have 100 grams of carbs an hour. I can do 80. Whereas a
Right.
guy, they might have to get up to 100 or 120 just to sustain the same output that I'm doing. So someone like Lael Wilcox, like she's like the goat of ultracycling, and just someone that is so inspirational. So if you're curious about long distance cycling, go check her out. Like obviously she's doing it at like an incredible level.
Right,
But
yeah.
but she makes it so accessible where you're like, yeah, man, you don't have to be this super athlete. You can just be someone that really likes riding your bike a long time.
I love that, especially because where I'm at personally, and again, I think a lot of our audience, just with the information we have of our demographics and age, is that majority are out of that competitive state. Now, it might be instilled in us from whatever activities or things that we did for so long that you feel that competitive edge, but for a lot of us, that can actually just be against ourselves too.
Yeah.
Of like, I want to reach this certain time or this certain pace or whatever it may be, and you're only hard on yourself. You're not necessarily trying to beat like someone else, but trying to beat a past version of yourself. And that is something that, again, internally I work on a lot of, like, not comparing myself to myself, not comparing me to anyone else, not a past version of me, just being in the present moment of like, I'm doing what I can, how I can.
Yeah.
So something like randonneuring, it's like very like sparking so much in my brain. It's like, wow, that just sounds so lovely because you're doing it with other people instead of doing it on your own. Because even doing something on my own, like I said, I like doing the longer distances alone because I don't have to worry about keeping up with anyone's pace and feel like, oh, I'm slowing them down or this, that, and the other. I really have zero care, except for there are times where I can be like, man, I sure wish I was doing this ride a little little faster.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just sounds like a fun group ride where there's no pressure, but I do like to have a little bit of like a goal too. So
Exactly.
having a time kind of
Mhm.
cap and distance and whatever keeps you in that frame, it feels like the perfect kind of mix of having somewhat of a goal, but not in a competitive way,
Mhm.
to just push you to keep kind of going. And, I like to
Totally.
still push myself once in a while without, again, trying to drop that comparison part of it.
No, 1,000%. Like, the time is there just so you otherwise, yeah, man, you're gonna sit at coffee for 3 hours.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, we're
Yes,
not going
exactly.
anywhere,
You're gonna
you
have a
know?
rest day.
Yeah, and so, like, it focuses the mind a little, and I think, it also like, these are big days. These
Hmm.
are big events. Like, they start at 200 kilometers, so 125 miles, which, let's be honest, that's not a short day either, right?
Yeah.
And so training for it, like, it focuses your training because you're like, okay, I do have to get a little bit structured in the sense of like getting ready for this. And I think it just creates a community and a vibe where it's like we're all here to get this thing done, but we're not doing it against each other, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds awesome. Is there any events like that in the US, or are most of these in your Europe and whatnot?
No, yeah, there's all sorts of I mean, so the to do randonneuring, you this is where I gotta be honest, there's a lot of rules, okay?
Okay.
So if you love rules, get excited. But like you have to join a randonneuring club, right?
Oh.
So in America, it's Randonneurs USA. So you pay $20 or whatever it is, and then you join a local chapter. So for me, it's San Francisco Randonneurs, but it might be there's a Humboldt Randonneurs, there's a
Oh.
Santa Cruz, there's clubs all over. And the club is what is going to host the ride. And then you go and you join the ride, the 200K or whatever it might be. And that's kind of essentially it. The longer ones, they'll offer them in different parts of the country. Like there's I think a 1200K in Colorado. Humboldt actually has some incredible rides. I've done a few of theirs. There was one that was Reno to Vegas where we went through Death Valley.
Wow.
That was amazing. It was super hard, but it was
And
really
again,
cool.
are these road focused?
Yes, but
Okay.
sometimes there's actually mixed terrain as well.
Okay.
So, SFR, the San Francisco Randonneurs, they have a series where it's 200, 300, 400, and 600 kilometer brevets. So the route is called a brevet, like the event. And these mixed terrain rides, like the 600K is so difficult that people feel like it's like a 1200K. Like it's
Wow.
so tough that I don't even know, like maybe 80% drop out. Like it's wild. My husband did the 400K and he was just like, they got to Healdsburg or whatever. And he's like, oh, cool. And it was like midnight and they had to do a century. Like he was just like, it was insane. So I'm not trying to say they're all that
Yeah,
difficult,
yeah.
but like this particular series of rides are kind of made as a real challenge. And if you
Yeah.
complete the series, I mean, you get an award. It's like
Oh,
a whole
cool.
thing. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad to know that it's around, and I definitely want to look into, some of the clubs and whatnot, and just see what's around, see what's available. Again, I am trying to do more with other people this year and not
Yeah.
just close myself off to the bubble because, like I mentioned, the solo kind of riding or activities is, I guess I could say and call myself out, like a little bit rooted on fear and where I, feel like I'm at personally in fitness or this or that. And I just don't want any any pressure or anything. I just know how I
Yeah.
am and how my mind works, but I want to get out of this bubble that I've put
Mm.
myself in and get back into doing things like with and around people and taking the pressure off, because I definitely come from more of the competitiveness instilled
Mm.
in me kind
Yeah.
of thing. So trying to drop that veil. And so, yeah, I want to, maybe dabble in like a gravel race or something,
That's
just to,
cool.
again, with zero
Yeah.
competitive like motivation to it, but to be in that environment of doing something with other people and having people kind of like,
Mhm.
a little I don't even know if like saying a push is the right thing, but like a goal, I guess, to
Yeah.
reach, have a little bit of something I can keep working towards. And then that also, I know in my mind that it's like, see, you can
Yeah.
do it and you're
Yeah.
doing it. It's like, you're not like kind of what you think you are, or like you can do it, and just needing that kind of mentality again. So I definitely want to look into some of those clubs and see what's around and what kind of things are around for just fun and no competitiveness.
I think I'm a big fan of having a date on a calendar. And to your point, like it can be a gravel race. It could be sort of a club ride that's like a bigger ride maybe. But like when you put some dates on the calendar, it just focuses everything. Like all of a sudden you have something that you're committing to. It's even better if you do it with a pal because you're like, well, I can't back out because my buddy's coming with me. I would almost go as far as to say it's even better if it's somewhere you have to go. Like physically, it's in Tahoe, it's wherever. It's a faraway-ish place so that you have logistics, you have a person you're committed to, and you have a thing that you have to now train for. Like when those three things come together, it's really hard to bail. You know what I mean?
Accountability that, And I 100% agree. And I've been saying for years that like, oh, I want to go on a bike packing trip. This is going to be the summer. This is going to be the summer. And for whatever reason, I haven't done it, even though I've talked to people about getting into it. Their suggestions always like literally go down the road, pack like as clumsy as you can or want because you need to figure out your own system. But like for a quick overnighter, and one friend or acquaintance suggested like not even packing food or anything. Like, go after work. Like go have dinner. Go somewhere close enough that you can just go after work and have some snacks instead of a tent, and then like pack up in the morning and go straight to a coffee shop. Like
that's cool.
Like the easiest thing possible just to get you on your bike and like spending the night kind of thing, like slow baby steps towards it. But I think what you just said was like not putting it on the calendar what has been a huge thing stopping me of not just like, hey, I'm gonna go do this because I've got no qualms about sleeping in a tent by myself. There's campground down the road that it's like okay, just go there. Or even having my boyfriend meet me there with the dogs and like we can camp together, but I am biking in and biking out and carrying a bunch of stuff on my bike just to get a feel for it. But so getting that just on the calendar has something to work towards, gets you on your bike to be getting the miles in. I'm curious, the winters are pretty mild in the Bay Area compared to obviously where I am, much similar to where I'm from in the Northwest, where definitely maybe like wet or foggy and dreary, right? But you can still ride outside most of the year. Do you do a lot of indoor training though, and like have to like spending hours on an indoor trainer and working on fueling during those rides?
No.
I love that for you. I love that for you.
I mean, but that's me. Like, I'll ride through a hurricane before I get on a trainer. Like, I hate trainers so much. And in a way, I'm not trying to sound fancy, like, oh, flex or
elite,
something. No, it's more just like, if you're going to do any long distance riding, guess what? It's probably going to rain. Like, or it might be some adverse conditions. And if you have been sitting in the trainer all day, like, dude, what are you going to do when the real world shows up, right? So I like to put myself in those situations because it tests me a little bit, but also it makes sure that I understand how I'm going to react. Stopping time is different. Reaction times, like everything is different. Same with night riding. Like, I think everyone who wants to do any long distance riding, you owe it to yourself to get outside and go for a ride at night. Bring your reflective gear, be as safe as possible, get a really good light. This is how you're going to test all your equipment to make sure that it works, because you sure as heck don't want to test it on this crazy big ride you did and you're like, oh wow, my light is garbage. Like, that's not super,
This is not rainproof at all.
Dude, just like everything. And I've done everything wrong. I mean, I've done big weekends where I forgot to charge my Di2 and I had to like walk to a bike shop. I had to like, there's all sorts of things, but that's why you do it in training, right? Like that's why you sort of set up scenarios, just like your bike packing example. Like I'm going to set up a scenario where I can fail at this and I'm not going to be totally effed. Like,
Zero consequences.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're doing it in your A event, and I don't want to make it sound like it's a race, but if you're flying to Europe, you really don't want to screw it up when you're been training for a year for this thing, right?
Yeah, you want it to be as fun as possible too. Yeah,
Totally.
it's not fun when things aren't working, and obviously there's all sorts of circumstances out of your control that can happen in any of these trips and things. But if you can at least do whatever you can to prevent those, then
1,000%. And I
then
think
it
that's the
mitigates
move.
it.
Like when you prepare, like you give yourself the license to go have fun. Now you have the confidence knowing that, hey man, I know how to ride in these conditions, or I know how to use this gear, or I know that when it rains, this is an awesome jacket and I'm going to be comfortable. Like that's the stuff that gives you the confidence so you don't have to stress it if and when it does come up.
Yeah, and I feel like that honestly brings this conversation full circle in the fact that practicing with your fueling properly, all that, also comes into play of knowing what your body needs and having it ready on hand for you during the like bigger events. And you can absolutely, experiment with having these things, these fueling options with shorter rides, long rides. How much do I need? How did that make me feel having, one bottle in that hour versus elevation or whatnot? Because when I asked the training question, that was something I was thinking of is obviously I think people who are athletes and competing and riding more, really, really training for something are also fueling properly during their training. But that is something that like, if I'm doing something for fun, going on a bike packing trip or even just like a 2-hour, again, mountain bike ride that I love a spin bike and being on a spin class. Okay.
Yeah.
Not sitting on that bike for 4 hours, like whatever.
No.
But, in my head, I'm thinking for people in those conditions where if you do have something like that planned, a fun trip planned and you are indoor, like you have to fuel like you were out there on the bike, which I feel like can be a little bit harder because you're like, oh, I'm just at home. I can hop on off and make an omelet, like whatever.
It's true, eh? Yeah.
So
oh my God.
it's like, use all those practice scenarios for even the littlest things, fueling and all of that. And it's something that for me, that's where I'm at more so is in that kind of always just feel like I'm training, practicing, whatever. So I don't feel like, oh, I don't need those because this is all just, practicer for fun. But again, I want my body to feel good during it. So we have to fuel it right.
Yeah. Totally. No, 1,000%.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much for joining and getting into the kind of nerdiness side a little of fueling and like making it accessible to, right, not being so scary. Would you say there's 5 ingredients in there? So I think that too at the heart, like when you look at a package and you're like, hey, I know what this stuff is, so I'm familiar with it, I can put it in my body. You mentioned some clubs too, or like, if anyone's out there interested in randonneuring, looking for a club near you, but I see on your website, you guys have a Strava club too. So
that's right.
Tell everybody where they can find you and follow the journey of Hummingbird Fuels.
Totally.
All the places.
All the things. Get your pen and paper. We have a Strava club where we do have a lot of rides that we offer. And we also, if you're not in the San Francisco area, we also promote rides that we partner with. So across the US and Canada. So join the club. You'll probably find something for you. And that's Hummingbird Fuels on Strava. Then Hummingbird Fuels on Instagram. That's where we, post all our stories. And then personally, my personal, I guess, Instagram is at Hustle and a Half. I know it's kind of a dumb name. I don't know. It started a long time ago. What am I going to do? Stuck with it now.
Exactly. You got to keep it now. You got to keep it rolling now. You're locked in.
10 years ago, it sounded cool, but whatever. So that's my personal one. And I think on TikTok, it's technically at Hustle and a Half, but I think you could also find Hummingbird Fuels because it's like the name is Hummingbird Fuels.
Right.
The point is I didn't want 2 TikToks. I just did one.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But yeah. And then, of course, hummingbirdfuels.com is our website. And we have some blogs up there about fueling and all the different events and things we promote. So
I love it. Anything like coming up besides you mentioned the partnership earlier, but like, any new flavors or anything like that we can look out for or that you want to announce or just tell people, I guess, what they
Breaking
can find.
news. Yeah. No, we have, we're really stoked. At our Malibu ride camp, we actually brought out 2 of our test flavors. So every flavor is inspired by a bike ride that we've done. So right now our 2 flavors are Girona Orange, which no shade, like, don't get me sued, but it's European Fanta. So that was the flavor of what we made. And then the other one is Arctic Berry, which is lingonberry and bilberry. It's actually a pretty unique kind of berry flavor. So those 2 are available. Coming soon, probably in early spring, is Basque cider. So we were in northern Spain, and they're really famous for this cider that they make. So we developed a flavor based on that. And then the other one is Maui Sunrise, and that is pineapple and passion fruit. Yeah, and it's a really beautiful flavor, and that was inspired by climbing up Haleakala, which is like that volcano in Maui. So, yeah.
Oh, very cool. Awesome. Well, everybody out there, make sure you check the show notes to find out where you can follow Hummingbird Fuels and try some samples, try some flavors, get out there, find a club, get on your bike. Again, I know a lot of us on the West, first of all, we might not be into bike season yet, be in our snow era, but because it hasn't snowed much here and I can see the ground and see the pavement, I've honestly been thinking so much about just pulling my bike out and going for a ride because one, I'm like, well, maybe if I do this, it will fucking snow. and like, why am I not doing it if I could do it? Because it's also been super warm here. Super warm for here in the winter is in the 40s. I mean, it is like, I'm like, it's hot out there.
Yeah.
Like, I can get on my bike. Like, this is crazy. So maybe I'll do that. I've just been lazy about it and nervous for some reason. Like, that people are going to judge me for being on my bike. I don't know
my
why.
God. No.
But again, I'm trying to call the snow, people. So let's get on our bikes. Get your bikes out. Let's go. As soon as we do and get it ready and get amped on that, it'll start snowing again.
That's awesome.
But I just also think like, wow, it's the end of January, like if I do want to do some long rides this year, I should actually start getting on my bike, whether it's my spin bike or real bike now, and getting some time in the saddle. So yes, like
we're gonna manifest this for you. First off, we're gonna pull up a calendar in 10 minutes here, and we're gonna get the dates, and then we're gonna make it happen. So yeah.
Speaking of dates, I did want to. I think we talked about this on our intro call. I mentioned like I've talked to a few gals in kind of the Bay Area cycling that I want to, try to put like a group ride together between here and there maybe and just have a meetup of all these awesome ladies I've talked to on the podcast and get out there and ride together. So, are you going to Sea Otter?
I am.
Okay.
See you there.
All right. It's on my calendar.
Yeah, let's go. Well, you can find Hummingbird Fuels. We'll have a booth with our partners at Swaves Hydration, so they're going to be homies and let us have our product there. So I'm technically not on the program, but I'm at a booth.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll look out for you there for sure. And,
awesome.
And maybe I'll have to like note that too, and that could be a time of trying to do a little group ride meetup for some. I bet there's going to be a lot of other ladies who've been on the podcast there, so
amazing.
that'd be awesome. I'll keep you in the loop. But like I said, everybody, check those show notes. Go follow Hummingbird Fuels. Give them a try, and tell them if you have questions on probably check out their blog. I mean, food scientist, creator, hello. Probably good stuff there.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening out there, and we will talk to you next week.